to share hope or give hope, it's something very, very simple, and that is just smile. A simple smile, it can change a person's day and your own day as well. Smiling makes us feel good inside, and it shows others that we care, and it's infectious. If you see a person walking down the street towards you, that person could have had some bad news, terrible day at work, but when you smile at them, it gives them hope to think that, yeah, life will get better.
Welcome to I Share Hope, the podcast where world leaders share their real stories of hope and how you can use actionable hope to start changing your life today. And now, here's your host, Chris Williams.
Hello?
Mandy, is this...
Yes.
Hey, good. This is Chris Williams with I Share Hope. How are you?
Hi, hi. Nice to speak to you.
Nice to speak to you, too. I'm so sorry. It took me a minute. I tried different versions of your number and finally cracked the code, so...
Oh, right. It's okay.
You can ignore the email that I sent you frantically. I can't get your number right, but I think I got it. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing really well. So where are you right now? You're over in the UK, unless you're having your phone forwarded.
I am. Yes, I'm in the UK, quite near to Manchester, if you know the UK at all.
Absolutely.
Yep, so near there.
That's great. Oh, it's a great area. Beautiful.
It is, yeah. Especially when the sun's shining, which it is today, so that's a bonus.
How many days of sunshine do you guys get? It seems like it's always cloudy there, and I know it's not true, but more often than not.
I think you could probably count the amount of sunny days we get on one, or maybe two hands at a push.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's not very good, but it makes you feel better when it's sunny, though, so that's something.
Yeah, that is great. Well, I'm glad you're getting a sunny one. Well, let me make sure that I get all of this right, because I sure like getting names right and everything else. So it's Mandy Sellars. Am I saying your last name right?
Yeah.
Cool. And Mandy, I've seen lots of your interviews and lots of stories about you. And
okay.
And I'm obviously people are fascinated and interested in how does this work, and I can't wait to hear more of your story. But at the same time, I want to make sure that you're comfortable with any part of your story you want to share. So this interview process and these stories of hope that we're collecting, 1,000 of them around the world, as you know, we want to make sure they're your stories, and they're not about me. They're not about our staff. They're about you. They're about our guests. So I really appreciate you participating, and I'd love to ask you these questions, but you can go anywhere you want with any of these answers. So it's completely yours. Is that okay?
Absolutely fine, yeah.
Okay. So first of all, why don't you, Mandy Sellars, explain a little bit about who you are, where you are, and I'll start by just saying that we found you because of your story. You're fairly public. You're a great speaker, and you're well known for having, I think, is it called? It's named after you. Is it Sellars?
No, I would like it to be named after me. No, but they've called it PROS, P-R-O-S. Obviously, that's an acronym. I can't, but I do apologise. It stands for PIC-related overgrowth syndrome.
Okay.
And the PIC, the mutated gene that causes the condition.
So say that last part about what it stands or what it means. Your line cut out for just a second. What about the mutated genes?
Yeah, sure. It's called PROS, P-R-O-S, and that stands for PIC-related overgrowth syndrome. Now, PIC is spelled P-I-K, and that is the actual gene that causes the growth condition. I hope that makes sense.
It does make sense. So the condition allows a certain part of a person's body to grow at a more rapid pace or enlarge in a way that is not consistent with the general population. Is that?
Yeah, basically putting it in layman's terms, we all have the PIC3CA gene, and that's a growth gene. Mm-hmm. And usually in the average person, that gene will be shut off at some point during the process when you start growing. But for me and other people with this condition, the gene didn't switch off. So the areas that were affected, like for me, it's from my waist down, my legs and my feet. that area didn't stop growing simply because that gene has been constantly switched on since I was born.
Wow. So we'll have on isharehope.com, we'll have an interview page set up just for this interview. We do for each of our guests. And we'll have links to your website where people can go learn more about you. So since this is a listening audience, your legs and feet, so waist down for you, continued to grow. And are you still growing?
Luckily not. I'll try and make this kind of the short version. Up until 2012, my legs and feet have continued to grow rapidly. It's very hard for me to kind of say how rapidly, but I guess looking at myself compared to the average woman at the same age, my legs would have been maybe 3, 4, if not 5 times bigger than that person. 2012, I actually met some amazing doctors in Cambridge in the UK who really took an interest in me, because before then no doctor took an interest. They didn't really know what to do, where to start, but these guys in Cambridge did. They did DNA sequencing on my genes, and I think it took them maybe a year or so, and they finally found the PIK3CA gene mutation that caused my condition. And I just never ever thought in my wildest dreams that anybody would find what it is, so to me that was like a life-changing moment. I could finally kind of say to people when they say, well, what is it that you've got? I can say, well, it's a mutation in the PIK3CA gene, which to somebody else means something. But to me, I embraced that, and I was that excited, I suppose. I was that excited when I found out the news. I had a tattoo on my arm that says PIK3CA, so that was kind of like a stamp in a sense to say this is me and this is who I am.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the tattoos, because the first picture I ever saw of you, I actually zoomed on the picture without knowing about the legs. I zoomed on the picture because you have a tattoo on it looks like the inside of your right bicep.
That's right, yes.
Okay, and I couldn't figure it out, so I was zooming in, and I was like, what is that? And so I started reading about you, trying to figure out, what is the tattoo? And then I was like, oh, I get it. So I love tattoos, and I think it's just super cool that you have one, a couple of them. There's actually some on your left arm too, correct?
Yes.
So what are the ones on your left arm?
On the top of my left arm, it's two like the women's symbols, or the woman symbol, whatever you want to call it, interconnected. Just kind of like a sense of strength, being a woman, that type of thing. The one lower down is a tribute to my grandma who died. And she always liked the colour blue, and she always liked this particular flower, freesia, I think it was. So I got the flower tattooed in the colour blue with the name Nan.
Beautiful.
By the stem. So yes, that's in the memory of my Nan.
Beautiful. Oh, I love that. I love that. I'm trying to figure out a couple of designs that I'm working on for me, but it's so hard to decide. So, all right. So let me do this, Mandy Sellars. Let me ask you these 5 questions.
Okay.
As again, this is your story. Obviously, we found out about you because you are bringing hope and light, and I want to say purpose. I want to use that word. You're bringing purpose to an area of life. If there's something that we're born with that we can't change, that didn't happen to us violently, it's not like a cancer where some people go into remission and say, well, it doesn't appear, or I don't have to live with the effects of cancer for this time period. You've got something that a lot of people struggle with, not the same genetic mutation, but something that they can't change about themselves, that they or the people around them may find hard to work with. And I think from a hope standpoint, if it's depression, or if it's PTSD from someone who's been through something very traumatic in war or something else, or if it's the loss of a relationship that is permanent and will never come back, a lot of those things are very lasting, and we feel like this is going to be with me forever. how am I gonna live with this? Because it's gonna be part of life now. And
Yeah.
you're unraveling the code to how to do that in a way that not many people I see are actually doing. So that's why we're calling you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. All right, so question one.
Yeah.
We ask all these people, how or what is your definition of hope? What's your favorite quote about hope or your belief about hope?
Yeah, I found a quote, I think it was many years ago on the internet now, by someone called Zayad K. Abdelner, if I've said that correctly. And the quote was, "Life is like photography. You use the negatives to develop." Now, that just struck a chord with me, and it just made me kind of think and reflect on different parts of my life and things that have been difficult. And I look back at those particular moments now, and I think, yeah, I can understand why I had to go through that, or I understand why maybe that person did what they did. I might not have agreed or liked it at the time. It might have been sad, disappointing, upsetting, but I learned it, and it kind of changed me as a person, and it made me the person I am today. So that's kind of like my favourite quote. If somebody says something like that to me, I would say, yeah, life is like photography. You use the negatives in life to actually develop as a person.
That's a great perspective. Wow. That's really cool. That's a really encouraging way to say it, because no matter what we're dealing with, that negative thing can actually be the springboard to developing more. Okay, so who has shared that kind of hope with you? Who's really been a powerful force to bring hope into your life?
I think when I actually read that question, who has kind of shared the most hope with me, I found it quite difficult to answer, because for me, I couldn't actually pick one person. I think when I look at people, the people that kind of cope with what others may see as like unbearable circumstances, those type of people that cope when life kicks them down and they just get back up again and they make life beautiful again. Those people that have that inner strength that we all do possess, and inner strength does come at the right time when we all need it the most. I often kind of think that, sorry, let me correct that. We often kind of think that we couldn't cope with certain circumstances in life, yet amazingly, when we're called upon as people, we somehow do find that hope again. We're able to kind of stand tall and kind of say to ourselves that life, will get better, life can get better. And I think that's the thing for me. I don't just see one person like a celebrity or something like that. It may be just a person next door who's been through a hell of a time, really difficult time in life, but they've pulled themselves back from the brink. They've always had that hope in life that it get better, and it has got better. So those are the type of people that I look up to or focus on.
Me too. Me too. In fact, that's why we've started this project. It was more for me to come through some really hard and difficult times, a lot of depression, and this project was me attempting to hang out with people who had more hope, so I could learn how it works and watch other people do it. Awesome. All right, question 3. Okay. Take us back to a time, kind of paint a picture when you were at the bottom of this cycle of being hopeful and not hopeful and hopeful and not hopeful. When was that, and what was it like, and how did you start to recover? How did you start pulling out when it seemed too dark?
Oh, okay. I'll give it a go. I mean, any questions you want to ask about this part, then that's fine. I guess the moment in life that really sticks out for me is I had my leg amputated due to a life-threatening infection. I kind of remember that time and remember coming round from the anaesthetic, and it just made me realise, that I'd been given a second chance at life, because I was absolutely convinced that I was going to die on the operating table just because I was so ill before the operation. So I'd been given that second chance, and this gave me hope, because I knew that, I could kind of start my life again. I mean, obviously the road to recovery definitely wasn't easy. You know, there was physical pain, there was a lengthy stay in hospital, and there was also the psychological and emotional pain of the grief you kind of feel, anybody feels when they lose part of their body. I mean, for myself, even though that part didn't work very well, and it did make life probably extremely difficult before the amputation, it was still a loss. And knowing that I'd kind of been given that second chance, it gave me hope that, you know, life could be good again. And there was what I kind of say or call a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, I mean, at times that light certainly wasn't visible, you know, but it was there, and it was waiting for me to see it and understand that with time that things would get better. You know, I kind of never lost hope, even though there were, you know, such dark days. You know, it took so long to get out of bed or to be able to get dressed took forever, and the nerve pain that somebody feels when they've gone through an amputation, you know, only those people can understand that excruciating pain. You know, and there's all these different factors for me to consider, trying to live on my own again, trying to even just daily simple activities, whether it be making a sandwich or hoovering, you know, just little things that people take for granted. When I accomplished those, it was like a victory, and those were the good days. And obviously there were, like I said, very dark days, but I'm the type of person, and I wish people said to me, I wish that you could bottle it and sell what I have, and I wish I could explain to people what it is that makes me strong, if you want that word. But I always knew, you know, that life would get better. You know, and excuse me, just 1 second, sorry. So yes, I knew that kind of life would get better, and I would become stronger in myself, both physically and mentally. I mean, it's now 6 years since the amputation, and there are still things that I need to change, especially to become fully independent and mobile. And that's not, obviously, I don't feel it's my fault because I've done everything I can. But I don't and will give up hope that being mobile again will one day become a reality. Because I know it will. It's just having that belief and hope that it will happen.
So let me just get the details right here. So you had one or both legs amputated?
Just one, the left leg in 2010.
Okay. And so how do you, I hear what people are saying. Can you bottle that up and sell it? How do you manufacture hope? Because I'm interviewing a lot of people, and I've talked to a lot of people about hope. And some people are constantly having to work on very positive thinking patterns, or go through a lot of practices in life to keep reorienting themselves towards a hopeful outcome. Some people, it's like they never questioned it to begin with, and there's no positive thinking or practices they're going through. They just wake up every day thinking, this is going to be tough, but we got this. Let's go. I don't know where you fall on that spectrum, but it sounds like you might be more towards the side of, I just am ready to go.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. I think for me, when I've had difficult days, to me they've never been that difficult, but if I do have difficult or dark days, I always keep in mind is that there's always somebody in this world worse off physically, mentally than I am. You know, so I consider myself very, very lucky, you know, compared to other people that they may not have enough food on the table, they may not have enough money, they may not have anywhere to live, you know, they don't have a loving family, they don't have friends, you know, and I have all those things. So you look at it from that perspective, and I am blessed. You know, other people in the outside world may look at me because I look physically different, and to them it would seem that life is very difficult for me. But to me, it's just me, it's just my life. To me, I don't think about, oh, it's difficult to do X, Y, or Z, because I just get on with it and do it. To me, it's no big deal. because it's always been part of my life. That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. That's a great perspective. I'm taking notes now. Yeah, that that really is. It's perspective. Yeah. Okay, question 4. So what are you doing today to share hope with other people? I know you're doing an enormous amount with your own cause. You have so much going on out there, but explain a little more of what you're doing as a celebrity in some ways, championing a cause for people, or as a regular person who's got next door neighbors and you just go get a cup of coffee in the morning. What are you doing to share hope?
I would say, maybe as crazy as this sounds, I think the way I share hope is through emails with people. And these are people who have contacted me, whether they've seen a program or seen my website or somebody's told them about me. And these people, either themselves or it could be a child or a parent, and they have an undiagnosed overgrowth condition. Through the experiences that I've had, I can put them in touch with my amazing doctors in Cambridge, and they can hopefully get a medical diagnosis and hopefully treatment. But it's not just that practical hope that I offer. I also think I offer hope in a different way, maybe psychologically, because sometimes people, they'll look at me and they see how happy I am and how comfortable in myself and how proud I am to have been born with this unique condition, that it surprises them and it gives them hope. Particularly parents with children with overgrowth conditions, it offers them hope because they think, I hope my child grows up to feel so happy, content and proud as you are to have this condition. And I think that is, hopefully, I would say, one of the ways that I'm giving people hope.
That's really true. I'm doing it and experiencing it right now. I really am. I think you said you're proud to have been born the way you are, and you're comfortable being you. That's something that I don't think many people are, even if they have outwardly a perfect experience in their bodies.
Yeah.
People still aren't proud of who they are, and they're not comfortable with themselves. We've talked to a strong collection of people with genetic issues from birth, and there's a really strong pattern in the people we've talked to who are, I think, way more comfortable in their own skin, and yet the average person looks at them and says, how do you deal with that? But you're better at it than the rest of us who supposedly don't have a quote unquote disability, or at least not one that anybody can see, so we can hide it well,
Yeah, sure.
I think it's a serious difference in our mental direction, our choice in how we're thinking, or our perspective. Maybe it's perspective. Maybe I'm trying to unravel it as we're talking here. I wonder if for people who think, oh, I might be able to blend in and look just right, I wonder if that plays with our brains and actually makes us think that a little difference is actually going to make us, a more special person. And it's not. Yeah. We are special now,
Yeah, exactly. I think there's just too much emphasis in this world, I believe, from the media particularly, of women and men looking a certain way, and that if you don't look that certain way, then you're not deemed as the perfect human being, or you're not going to become rich or famous, or things like that. But it's taken me, I'm 41 now, it's taken me probably maybe 39 years to become comfortable in my own body and to be proud of who I am and what I was born with. And I think it's just so important for anybody just to embrace who they are and what they look like, because there's only one of you. There'll never be another you. Even if people look like the average person walking down the street, you're still unique, you're still you, and nobody can ever take that away from you. And I just think, you have to be proud of who you are. You have to be happy within yourself, because nobody else is going to do that for you, and nobody else can do that for you. I remember a couple of weeks ago talking to someone, a friend on Facebook, and she's recently had her leg amputated. And we were talking about how she sees herself and how worried she is in the summer of wearing shorts because of how people may react to her. And I remember saying to her, I can understand fully where you're coming from there, because you can walk down the street and you can get 9 amazing compliments from people, but then you get that one person that will turn around and say something nasty or rude, and that is the thing that will stay with you. That in the past was what I would focus on, not the 9 people who said something lovely, but the one person who said something nasty. And it's getting your mindset off that and realizing what that person said is no reflection on me, it's a reflection on them as a person. They've obviously got something going on in their life, whatever it may be, that they have to deal with. They're taking their insecurities, their anger, whatever it is, out on someone they've just passed in the street. So I've kind of, over the years, come to the conclusion or the thought process of, yes, someone may stare, someone may point and laugh at me, someone may even say something nasty, but I always try to remember that's their issue, that's their problem, it's not me. So,
great
I
perspective.
went off on a bit of a tangent there, but that is just kind of like all these things coming into my head as I'm kind of speaking. So
no, it's a really good perspective and it's a good tangent. I'm glad you're going on it, and I think it leads into question 5 really well, which are what are the simple steps, the ABCs that all of us listening to you right now can do to begin building hope and sharing it with ourselves or with somebody else. What would we do next?
Sorry.
No, you're good. I was just going to say what we're going to, when we turn off this podcast and put the headphones down, literally what do we do next?
For me, to share hope or give hope, it's something very, very simple, and that is just smile. A simple smile, it can change a person's day and your own day as well. Because smiling makes us feel good inside, and it shows others that we care, and it's infectious. If you see a person walking down the street towards you, that person could have had some bad news, terrible day at work, or had their heart broken or something like that, but when you smile at them, it gives them hope to think that, yeah, life will get better. So that's what I would say. If anybody's going to take anything from what I've said today, then that would be the one thing, just to smile at someone.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. It's so simple.
Yeah, and it costs nothing. So.
You're right. But it means so much. I've sure had that experience where somebody smiles at me and I didn't expect it. And I'm, wow. I don't know.
It's priceless. That's the thing.
Yeah. Huh. Wow. Okay. So tell me then, how can we follow you? I've got website. Is it mandysellars.com? Is it just that simple?
That's right. Yeah, just that simple.
And then on Twitter, Mandy Sellars?
I think it's Mandy Sellars 36, I think. I'm not 100% sure, because it's one of those things, you use it so often, but you don't realise.
You never tweet yourself, right?
No, exactly. Funnily enough, I've never tried that.
Let me see if I can find you here. Yes, you are Mandy Sellars 36.
Yes.
And I am following you on Twitter. So glad to. So you got a picture here on.
Yes.
Say what?
Yeah, I've just noticed you are following me on Twitter.
I'm a recent follower, like the past hour. Okay, so were you super nervous the first time you got asked to do an interview? I mean, wow, somebody's calling you up saying, we'd like to put you on TV. What is that like?
It might sound very strange, but I mean, I like the TV in terms of the stuff that's recorded is fine. But the thing I love, strangely, and I don't know why, is live TV. I absolutely love doing that. I don't know whether it's like an adrenaline rush, because you know that it's live, so you can't swear, or you don't want to mess up because you can't stop the camera and re-record it.
Did you say you can't swear?
Can't swear, yeah.
You sound like you should do a reality TV show.
Oh, my life is not anything like the Kardashians or anything. It's not exciting, so I think people would get very bored very quickly.
So, and when you're out and about, you're out in the street, you're in a restaurant, you're doing whatever you do, what do you wish people would do or say when they see you? So they see you, they know that you're not like somebody else they've seen, probably never seen anybody like you.
Yeah.
What do you wish they would do or say? Just pass on by, or do you want them to stop and engage? Or do you just wish they'd give you a nod and a smile? What do you want?
Good question. I think, again, it just comes down to a simple smile, because, you don't need to engage in conversation, because that, if it's a stranger, that could be a little bit awkward, possible, but, yeah, just a smile. I think anybody smiling body makes them feel good, so just that.
Yeah, okay. I'm kind of asking that not just for you, but we, in life, all of us bump into people who have a physical issue that's showing, and we want to tell our kids, hey, don't stare, or we're not sure, do we make eye contact or not? And maybe you don't understand that experience because you're on the other side of this deal and you're like, what are all these weirdos doing around here? Why can't they just live life like normal people?
I mean, I am very, very happy if parents or, kids, anybody wants to come up to me and ask me about my condition, because I am always open and willing to explain anything to someone. I think it's much better if a parent did that rather than grab their child and pulled them away and just said stop staring. Because it's better if a child understands why that person looks different, and then it makes them not as scared. Because if you pull a child away from somebody who looks different, that child may think, oh, that's maybe not a nice person, or, oh, that person frightens me because they look different. I'm not going to look at them or speak to anybody who looks different. So it's like educating them, isn't it, to just so they know that even somebody who's in a wheelchair or somebody who looks different, they aren't different. They aren't different than you or I. Everybody on the inside is the same.
Yeah.
Human beings, we're all, partaking in this thing they call life, so we are essentially all the same. So just because someone may look a little different doesn't mean that there's anything wrong, or, that it shouldn't be celebrated, or that person can't speak to you, or you can't smile at that person.
Yeah. Okay, so when you're out and about and you run into somebody else who's in a wheelchair or that has an outward sign of their condition, how do you engage? So is there a commonality between people that are obviously, if you haven't seen Mandy's website, it'll be on iShareHope.com under Mandy's interview, Mandy Sellars, or you can go to MandySellars.com, but you got to check out her wheelchair because your wheelchair is really, really awesome. After I looked at the tattoos, I was kind of looking at the wheelchair like, okay, how's this thing work? Because this is pretty cool. So, do y'all talk shop like, hey, cool rims, or man, where'd you get those treads? Or do y'all just kind of hang out and say, what you got, or how does that work for you?
I think for me, it is probably, my guess is it's different than it is for another disabled person who has a condition that's more common. If we take something like cerebral palsy or maybe spina bifida, it's more common than what I have, then because I look so different, even other people in wheelchairs they'll look at me because they don't understand. They can't think. They've never seen me before, so we don't have anything in common apart from the fact that we've got wheels. So I don't really engage with other disabled people as such. I'm quite happy to, not at all, and I always will smile at somebody in a wheelchair if we pass each other, but there's not that commonality in the sense because I look so different than someone who's got a more common condition or disability, if that makes sense to you.
Fascinating. It makes sense, and I would have never expected you to say that, but that does make sense. Yeah. Huh. Okay. What else does somebody, this is my last question. Sorry, I have so many random questions. This wasn't part of the 5 questions. I know I'm tricking you now. How many questions this guy got? I just really, really like, I have 5 kids, and I really like getting my kids around people that aren't like us, whether that's race, religion, orientation in whatever area of life, where they live on the globe, whatever it is. I like my kids having a really broad experience of humanity, because that is humanity, right? We're only awesome because we're so different, and that's what makes it fun. If we were all the same, I think it'd be a really boring place. So is there anything else that just pops in your head that you say, Chris, raising 5 kids, they're from ages 8 to 15, this is what your kids need to know about people that don't look like the norm or don't experience life like most people do? So I'm giving you a chance to help raise my 5 kids. But I want them to know here's how to live life fully. And what would you tell them?
I would probably say that every person on this earth has a unique story and a unique life to them. But somebody who looks different or acts differently, they've got a little bit extra. They've got an extra special part of their story that maybe nobody else has ever heard. And speak to that person, get to know them, and understand how, their life is similar to yours or even the same as yours, but also how different it is as well, but in a good way. Those differences are good, and those differences are there to be celebrated and to be proud of. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's the thing that popped into my head.
That does answer my question. Yeah. It's been my experience too, talking to people as awesome as you, that it's the differences and the little things in our lives that make us not like somebody else, that actually give us depth and a richness that's worth discovering.
Yes.
I'm glad you said that. That's a good way to remember it too. Wow. Mandy Sellars.
I think you might have got cut off.
Might have got what?
I thought it cut off. I couldn't hear.
Oh, I was just saying it's the small things or the big things, but it's the things that make us different. And when I'm talking to people like you who have something that has forced them to deal with the differences for their whole life, I find a depth and a richness in who you are that blows me away and makes me a little bit envious that you have something I don't have. And just getting to hang out with you for a little while hopefully helps me gain some of that, but it gives me a path to find more of it too, because I may not have an issue with my legs, or I just happen to look like a lot of other people. But I want the depth and the richness that you have, and the experience you've gotten in your issue has really benefited you in a way that I don't get to experience. And I'm glad to get to learn from you for a few minutes. I really am.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So here we are, Mandy Sellars. You can find her at mandysellars.com or on Twitter at mandysellars36. Were you 36 when you opened your Twitter account? Is that what that's all about?
Yes, it is. I know that's very sad, I know, but yes, that's the only thing I could think of to differently from people.
That's great. I love it. I love that. Most people get so annoyed the numbers get so long now because there's, billions of people on there. Having just number 36 is pretty good because I guess you were the 36th Mandy on there anyway. At least there wasn't somebody already taking it. So, okay. Well, we're going to put all of this and links to Mandy's site again on I Share Hope. I know a lot of people are listening to this right now and they're out for a run or at the store or whatever. But when you lock back down at home, you can hit the links on the podcast and get you back to our website, which will point you back to Mandy's stuff. Mandy, it's been a tremendous, tremendous privilege, honestly, to talk to you. And I really appreciate you giving us 39 minutes of your time right now. I know you're busy. I know you have important things to do. And I know you have lots of people who would love to have 5 minutes of your time. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Not a problem.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
And you too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You've just listened to I Share Hope. If you're ready to make a change, head to our website at isharehope.com and claim your free copy of the Top 10 Actions of Hope from World Leaders to use hope in your own life. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
I Share Hope. How are you?
Hi, hi. Nice to speak to you.
Nice to speak to you too. I'm so sorry. It took me a minute. I tried different versions of your number and finally cracked the code. So
It's okay.
you can ignore the email that I sent you frantically. I can't get your number right, but I think I got it. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing really well. So where are you right now? You're over in the UK, unless you're having your phone forwarded.
I am. Yes, I'm in the UK, quite near to Manchester, if you know the UK at all.
Absolutely.
Yep, so near there.
That's great. Oh, it's a great area. Beautiful.
It is, yeah. Especially when the sun's shining, which it is today, so that's a bonus.
How many days of sunshine do you guys get? It seems like it's always cloudy there, and I know it's not true,
Yeah.
but more often than not.
I think you could probably count the amount of sunny days we get on one.
They're about you. They're about our guests. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate you participating, and I'd love to ask you these questions, but you can go anywhere you want with any of these answers. So it's completely yours. Is that okay?
Absolutely fine, yeah.
Okay. So first of all, why don't you, Mandy Sellars, explain a little bit about who you are, where you are, and I'll start by just saying that we found you because of your story. You're fairly public. You're a great speaker, and you're well known for having, I think, is it called? It's named after you. Is it Sellars?
No, I would like it to be named after me. No, but they've called it PROS, PROS. Obviously, that's an acronym. I can't, but I do apologise. It stands for PIC-related overgrowth syndrome.
Okay.
And the PIC, the mutated gene that causes the condition.
So say that last part about what it stands or what it means. Your line cut out for just a second. What about the mutated genes?
Yeah, sure. It's called PROS, PROS, and that stands for PIC-related overgrowth syndrome. Now, PIC is spelled PIK, and that is the actual gene that causes the growth condition. I hope that makes sense.
It does make sense. So the condition allows a certain part of a person's body to grow at a more rapid pace or enlarge in a way that is not...
To share hope or give hope, it's something very, very simple, and that is just smile. A simple smile, it can change a person's day and your own day as well. Smiling makes us feel good inside, and it shows others that we care, and it's infectious. If you see a person walking down the street towards you, that person could have had some bad news, terrible day at work, but when you smile at them, it gives them hope to think that, yeah, life will get better.
Welcome to I Share Hope, the podcast where world leaders share their real stories of hope and how you can use actionable hope to start changing your life today. And now, here's your host, Chris Williams.
Hello.
Mandy, is this?
Yes.
Hey, good. This is Chris Williams with
Or maybe two hands at a push.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's not very good, but it makes you feel better when it's sunny, though, so that's something.
Yeah, that is great. Well, I'm glad you're getting a sunny one. Well, let me make sure that I get all of this right, because I sure like getting names right and everything else. So it's Mandy Sellars. Am I saying your last name right?
Yeah.
Cool. And Mandy, I've seen lots of your interviews and lots of stories about you. And
Okay.
and I'm obviously people are fascinated and interested in how does this work, and I can't wait to hear more of your story. But at the same time, I want to make sure that you're comfortable with any part of your story you want to share. So this interview process and these stories of hope that we're collecting, 1,000 of them around the world, as you know, we want to make sure they're your stories and they're not about me. They're not about our staff.